Tony Lloyd.
Thank you, Ms Madonna, and once again it's a pleasure to serve under your as chair. I'm bound to congratulate my honourable friend for Liverpool Wavertree. This is an important debate, and it's worth making this point that whilst we're talking about the peace process, it is a process, it's not a conclusion. And that really is central because it's important as well. My honourable friend, I think, for Chester, made the point about this having been the longest running civil war that the world has known. Actually, it still is in a state of civil war. The ALN are still active. Parts of the FARC have returned to armed combat because of the failure of the Colombian government to implement the peace process and their commitments. The paramilitaries, who actually always were the biggest killers in Colombia, are still more than active, and the need to disarm all those groups is there. But actually the state, the Colombian state, is also a perpetrator of the kind of violence that my honourable friend Fajero referred to a few moments ago. So that peace process is absolutely fundamental. And the first thing I would say to the Minister, I know he will say this, is that whoever wins the presidential election, which is now well underway, the British government, as a friend of Colombia, has a responsibility to be very active in demanding that there is action now to disarm the paramilitaries, to work for a peace agreement with the ALN, and to bring the state forces under real control. That's fundamental, because that's never been there. We are a friend of Colombia, I accept that. I have some doubts about the outgoing government in Colombia. We can be more vocal, though, in establishing the bounds of our friendship. So that's one. The other thing I would say to the Minister is this, is that as penholder at the United Nations, but also as a country that has helped fund the Truth Commission, and I very much welcome the role of the British government in that process. What we must do now is to make sure that the work of the Truth Commission is recognised, is heard, is taken to the United Nations, is monitored, because implementation of the recommendations of the Truth Commission is going to be fundamental in building the momentum round the peace process. So I hope the Minister can give an assurance that we will take that process, when the report comes out, very, very seriously, and try to do what we can to make sure it is not simply heard, but worked on. The other number of quick points. I'm conscious of the time, Ms McDonough, and I think others still need to speak. But I would simply as well say this. A number of our colleagues have spoken this morning about the toll of death that affects particular groups. Yes, trade unionists, human rights defenders, environmental campaigners, but actually as well the ordinary people of Colombia who face the lack of control of those groups. Now, one thing as well I would say to the Minister, I know we have done this in the past, that we've got to help the Colombian government to establish the mechanisms where impunity becomes less likely. It will take a long time for impunity to be taken out of existence in Colombia because of those historic forces and that culture. But strengthening the institutions, strengthening, for example, the capacity of the prosecuting authorities to take the perpetrators of this great violence through a legal process is absolutely fundamental, because that's never been the case. Impunity means that generals, impunity means that, that those who control the wealth of Colombia, and actually, yes, those who are members of armed groups in the past, that level of impunity has meant that people can and will continue to murder and to inflict the kind of wounds that Colombia has suffered so much from in the past. So strengthening those institutions, I think, is something that we, as a friendly government, can make a material difference on. Ms McDonough, I've been involved, I suppose, in an interest in Colombia for well over the majority of my life, I've got to say. It's not always been a pleasure, because sometimes there is real tragedy. I've known people who've died. I've known and people I counted as friends who've been murdered in that situation. But anybody who is involved in Colombia knows that it's a beautiful country. It's a country whose people are worth fighting for. It is, the Honourable Member Fitzfrankfurt referred earlier on to the we folk. It is the we folk of Colombia that we must speak up for. It's worth doing because that beautiful country and those beautiful people deserve better. They can have better. The peace process can make a material difference. But we, as a friend of Colombia, have got to work with them on that peace process to bring it to some kind of fruition. It will take time, but the value of it is so enormous, it's worth doing. Thank you.
Thank you.